Yo, what's up YouTube? Alex here, and in this video, I'm going to be breaking down ways to make money betting on the NBA. The NBA returns in mid-October. I truly believe it's the most profitable sport to bet on. Anybody with the right strategies can make money betting on basketball. I think it's better than football for a variety of reasons that I'll explain in this video. But last year, I made over $50,000 betting on the NBA. This bet tracker that I use, it's a verified bet tracker called Pickett Sports. Basically what it does is it reads in your bets from the sports books. You sync your sportsbook accounts like FanDuel, DraftKings. Pickett will read in all your bets, show you your profit and loss with a ton of analytics like your profit and loss by sport. But anyways, the first thing I wanted to explain is why do I even think the NBA is more profitable than the NFL? I love betting on football. Every single year I bet on both football and the NBA. But the first reason is just number of games, right? The NBA has 82 games in a regular season. NFL is only 17. Similarly, for college basketball, there's around 40 games in the regular season for each team. For college football, it's only like 12. So a lot of it is just the amount of games. More games means more surface area for the books to cover, means more opportunity to find profitable bets. More games, more profitable bets. That's one of the reasons why I actually think sports like esports, Counter-Strike, Valorant are pretty profitable to bet on just because there's so many games. So if you have access to a sports book that offers esports lines, a lot of times there's hundreds of games every single day. There's a lot of opportunity. But anyways, NBA, college basketball, insanely profitable sports. So without further ado, let's get into some profitable basketball betting strategies. So the first strategy that I love to use when betting on the NBA, and I'll go through some examples, some specific examples in a second, is taking advantage of injury news and lineup changes. So again, in the NBA, there's a lot more games. There's 82 games in the regular season, so it's pretty common for players to take rest days, even if they're not injured, right? For Giannis to take a few games off during the season. So if Giannis doesn't play, that's super impactful. The point spread has to move, the money line has to move, the probability of the Bucks winning the game if their star player is out changes drastically. Also, other players, their prop lines have to move. For example, Damian Lillard, you'd probably see his points line move up a lot, right? If Giannis is out, the star player on the Bucks who does a lot of the scoring, Damian Lillard is going to be expected to take more shots and have more output in the game. Also, other players, their rebound line has to change. So long story short, there's a lot of opportunity just around injuries, rest days, and lineup changes. I'll run through some specific examples, but you may be thinking, well, that's also applicable to the NFL. And that's kind of true, right? In basketball, there's 5 players on the court, and the best players are extremely impactful in terms of the probability of their team winning the game. If Giannis sits out, everything has to move a lot. The books go into, kind of free-for-all, trying to adjust lines, and that can lead to profitable bets. Line movement, when the market kind of goes into disarray, that often leads to really good betting opportunities for data-driven sharp bettors. On the other hand, in the NFL, of course, if Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers gets injured, that's going to really affect the odds. However, for the most part, in the NFL, players don't take rest weeks, right? Patrick Mahomes isn't going to randomly sit out week 4 of the season or week 6 or 7 unless he's injured. The second thing is, aside from the quarterback, star players, they don't actually affect the probability of a team winning the game that much. And I know that may sound surprising. Christian McCaffrey is a very good player. I don't mean to, make fun of him, but when Christian McCaffrey was ruled out of the 49ers-Jets game in week 1, he was officially ruled out. He's not going to be playing. Guess what? The odds on the 49ers winning or the opposing team, the Jets, they didn't really change that much. It basically stayed about the same, as you can see in this line movement chart from OddsJam. So injuries, rest days, that is super impactful in the NBA and leads to tons of profitable bets. So here's an example of how lineup news can really move the market in the NBA. The Warriors, their official starting lineup came out. I recommend following this Twitter account, Underdog NBA. And what you'll notice is Chris Paul wasn't in the starting lineup, meaning he's going to be coming off the bench, probably playing less minutes, less likely to score, to get assists, to get rebounds. So the books went into free-for-all because Chris Paul was expected to start. So on PrizePicks, they still had his line at 25 points plus rebounds plus assists, whereas Underdog Fantasy, after the news came out, Paul's not starting, they had his line at 19.5. So this is a massive difference. All sportsbooks set their own lines. So what I did is I middle bet this. Middle betting is a strategy. OddsJam has a tool for it. And it's because books set their own lines. When two books have such different lines, you bet the over on one book, the under on a different book. And, you're kind of day trading the sports books. It's like buying a stock at $19.50 on E-Trade, going over to Fidelity, selling it for $25. So I bet the under 25 on PrizePicks. I bet the over 19.5 on Underdog. And if Chris Paul would have had 20 to 25 points plus rebounds plus assists, PRAs, then I would have won both bets. Or if he had exactly 25, I would have pushed on PrizePicks. It would have been refunded. I would have won my bet on Underdog Fantasy. So we kind of have this range, which is a big range, right? 5.5 PRAs, points plus rebounds plus assists. That's a big gap. And if Paul ended up with 20 to 25, I would have won both bets. So this is just one of many examples. I do this all the time during NBA season, is kind of picking books off, taking advantage of lineup news and injury news. Before I get into some other strategies, data-driven, profitable, proven strategies for making money betting on the NBA, I wanted to mention that most of these strategies you can apply to other sports like the NFL, MLB, even hockey, right? Sports betting is about understanding data and markets. We just explained middle betting for the NBA, taking advantage of lineup news, looking for discrepancies between sports books. You can also do that in the NFL. I've made videos about betting on the NFL. Again, I don't think it's as profitable as the NBA, but of course I bet on the NFL. There's ways to make money. So if you want to make money sports betting, it's really about understanding the fundamentals of markets, probability, how sportsbooks move lines. Middle betting, which I explained again with the Chris Paul example, that's a strategy you can use in any sport. It's super profitable. So you don't have to switch things up all the time. People love to make sports betting complicated, right? Middle betting is super profitable. You can use it in the NFL, the MLB, the NBA, college basketball. It doesn't really matter. You're using a data-driven approach to day trade the sports books and make money. So for example, one strategy I love in the NBA is called arbitrage betting. I use this strategy in baseball and the NFL as well. But essentially, all sports books, they all set their own odds. So when two books get super out of sync, for example, you look right here at Benchero, you can see Fliff is noticeably different. This one sports book, Fliff, which is legal basically everywhere, they have his over 5.5 rebounds, assists at plus 100. On the other hand, if you look at FanDuel, they're super different. They have this line at minus 158. So the sports betting market is super inefficient or fragmented because you have hundreds of sports books that have launched in the US. They're all trying to set their own prices, their own odds, and sometimes they get super out of sync. Most plays are in arbitrage bets, but if you're using a software like the OddsJam arbitrage tool, that tool is reading in millions of odds every second to point out the rare few arbitrage plays. So arbitrage is just when two sports books get so out of sync, have such different odds, that you can bet the over on one book, the under on a different book, and guarantee a profit. So in this case, for example, you'd want to bet the over on Fliff, which is offering plus 100, crazy good odds, the under on FanDuel at plus 124, and you will make a risk-free $27, which is exactly what I did. You can see my bet slips here. I put $250 on Fliff on the over, which at the time, they've increased their max bet size, but at the time, $250 was the max bet size allowed on Fliff. I used the arbitrage calculator, which told me to hedge on FanDuel, bet 223 on the under. I rounded down. I only put 220, and I'm making approximately a risk-free $26.79, $27. As you can see, on the arbitrage calculator, and I'll kind of run through that math, for you. So for example, just imagine if Banchero, if he goes over 5.5 assists, if he has 6 or more on Fliff, I bet 250 at plus 100 odds. So I will profit 250, right? I'm up 250 profit on Fliff. I bet 250 at plus 100 odds. On FanDuel, I lose $220 that I bet on the under. So that's a net profit of $30, right? There's slight differences. You may be thinking, oh, I thought you said you were making $27 risk-free. This is 30. The slight difference is because I decided to round the arbitrage calculator. On the other hand, if Banchero goes under 5.5 assists, if he has 5 or less, I'm gonna lose my 250 on Fliff. And then on FanDuel, you can see right here, I'm gonna win 272.80. So that's a net profit of 22.80. And again, the difference from the 26.79 is because I rounded the calculator slightly. I didn't wanna sketch out the sports books. So arbitrage is just a way to day trade the sports books. Again, $27 risk-free may not seem that great, but this arbitrage play, it took me, all of 30 seconds to lock in. I go to FanDuel. OddsJam actually has one-click bet now. So you can just click and it'll take you right to the sports book and you can bet it right on the sports book. So it's really easy to navigate these books. So basically, I go to FanDuel, I go to Fliff, I place my bets. After the game ends in, a few hours, that game was today. It's not like this game was months away. I'm $30 richer just from putting in a few bets and clicking a couple buttons. I'm day trading the books with this sharp betting strategy. So again, this is called arbitrage betting. Making $27 risk-free may not seem that great, but it takes 30 seconds to do. So why can't you lock in, put in the work, put in the time, and lock in 10 arbitrage bets in a day? Each arbitrage bet is making $27. That's $270 total of risk-free profit. You have no risk. So just like middle betting, this is a sharp, data-driven strategy. Arbitrage is not a term that only applies to sports betting. You hear about arbitrage in financial markets, but at this point, financial markets are super efficient, right? If you want to buy a stock, it's going to be basically the exact same price on any different platform you go to. It's not the old days anymore. Financial markets are super efficient. So that means there's not a ton of opportunity for strategies like arbitrage. However, in sports betting, you have hundreds of books that have launched. They're all trying to do their own pricing because they all want to be unique, have their own odds. So when you find these massive discrepancies, you can take advantage, which is exactly what I did in this scenario on Banchero assists. Another thing you could have done is called positive EV betting. So that's actually the main strategy I use. And one thing I want to mention is I always recommend use as many sports books as possible. Here you can see in 2024, it's only September 22nd when I'm, recording this video. I'm already up over $200,000, which is ridiculous. First of all, that's ridiculous. Doing this from home, sitting in my boxers as a side hustle, pretty amazing. And I use tons of sports books. Sometimes Fliff has really good value. Sometimes FanDuel has really good value. So again, when you're arbitrage betting as an example, you're placing a bet on one sports book on the over, on another book on the under. You want to have as many books as possible. You never know where the best arbitrage middle bets are going to be on a given day. So ideally, you're using all the books that are available in your location, right? You'll see I'm up money on basically every sports book. And sometimes Fliff has more value. Sometimes certain sports books have better promos, better value. Some books have higher betting limits. All these sports books have their pros and cons. But again, it takes just a few minutes to register for a sports book. Most of them have pretty lucrative bonuses like deposit matches, stuff like that. But anyways, positive EV betting is basically using market data to identify inefficiencies. So for example, if you look at this play on Banchero assists, what you'll notice is Fliff, they're the only book, right? They're really the ones screwing up. Way different odds. Every other book has Banchero's assist line around like minus 130, minus 150. And Fliff has this at plus 100. Fliff is the only book with the under favored or juiced. So essentially Fliff's model has the under favored. They're giving worse odds on the under, minus 160. The over is plus 100. So if you think about it, when you're betting at plus 100, you're betting 100 to win 100 profit. So you only need to win 50% of your bets to break even, right? That's your break even win rate. If you win half your bets, you lose half your bets, you end up flat. If you, let's say your unit size is $100, you place 10 bets, you lose 5, you win 5. On the 5 you lose $500 total. The 5 you win, you make 500, you're flat. So when you're betting at plus 100, you need to win over 50% of your bets to be profitable. That's your break-even win rate, 50%. If you're winning your bets at plus 100, 55% of the time, you'll be profitable. If you're winning your bets at plus 100, 45% of the time, you're going to lose money. So in this scenario, if you look at all the other books, they have Banchero's over as a heavy favorite. BetOnline has his over as a minus 152 favorite. All these other sports books are data points. All these books have invested hundreds of millions of dollars, in their ability to set lines. They have really good models. They have really good data feeds, better than any capper on the internet. All of these sports books are taking millions of dollars in wagers, adjusting their odds based on where, action is coming in. So for example, books aren't stupid. If all of FanDuel's profitable, sharp customers start betting on Banchero's over, they'll move their odds towards the over. The same way, if everyone wants to buy a stock, the price goes up. If everyone wants to buy a stock, that stock has perceived value, that company has perceived value greater than the price where it's currently trading, and the stock price will go up. So it's the same thing in sports betting. If all the sharps start betting Banchero's over, sportsbooks will move him to being an even bigger favorite to go over. Same thing if they bet the under. So in this case, we have all these other sportsbooks posting lines. You have hundreds of books. All these books are running their models, taking bets, adjusting their odds based on where action's coming in, especially from profitable customers. And they all have Banchero's over as a heavy favorite. We're getting this at plus 100. So a favored outcome means it's winning above 50% of the time. 50% is our break-even win rate. So let's say looking at these other books, we say, okay, maybe this bet's hitting 55% of the time. Again, we're getting plus 100, and our bet's winning 55% of the time, which means we are going to be profitable long-term. So this is called a plus EV bet, a positive EV bet, a bet with a positive ROI and edge. It doesn't mean it's a lock. It doesn't mean it's guaranteed to win. There's no such thing as a lock in sports betting. It just means it's a bet with an edge. But regardless, these are some of the strategies. So in other words, I could have just played this Banchero over 5.5 assists as a straight bet. Instead of arbing it and deciding to make a risk-free $27, I could have just played the side on Fliff, ran it as a straight bet, and had it as a play with a mathematical edge. However, I just arbed it to make the risk-free money because why not? So I hope you found this video helpful. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know any other video ideas. I know everyone's excited for the NBA to return. I know I'm pumped. But please comment any questions, like the video, subscribe to the channel. And again, thanks so much for your time.